Check, check. Audio level check. 1, 2, 1, 2. All good? Everybody good? All right.
Okay.
If I could just have your attention, we're going to get started here. Last time we were here, we were all wearing masks and all that, and it's nice to see some friendly faces here. We do have a few wonderful masks that I'm still seeing, and you are all very welcome with those masks. So we appreciate the continued concern about health as we move through this. Today is a very unusual and very special day in the history of this institution, and I think in the history of the state. I have to say, Senator, that in my lifetime, and it's a long one, I can't say that I have ever seen our federal government function in as responsive and as responsible a fashion as I have this last year. And this program in particular, I know both sides of the aisles wanted to support it, but I have to say you were an incredible leader, and you understand. I know you've always appreciated the arts. I've known you for many years, and you've shown up at many fundraisers and many things to support the arts and entertainment in this state. You understand its value, but you also understand its impact on the lives of people. And I know that was a real driving force behind your heroic efforts to make this legislation, happen. So before I even introduce anybody else here, I'm going to say a personal thank you to you. This is really, really amazing. As you know, we have been the recipient of a $5.75 million grant through the SVOG. It was the SOS, Save Our Stages program. The Shuttered Venue Operators Program is what it has turned into now. And the money, while it took a little while to get flowing, with this gentleman kicking a few butts down in DC, it finally got straightened out. And we just late Friday received a word that we were officially approved for that grant, and that we're now expecting the money sometime this week. So, and it is moving along very quickly. This will be, it's a critical piece of the puzzle for us to be back on track. It is, it's part of a larger package of funding, but I'm sitting here looking at David Roth. I'm looking at other people out here who have supported the arts over many years. Here's my development director over here, Elizabeth, who has worked hard in our community, and I'm not going to give her a chance to talk, but she would tell you that our donors have stuck with us through this entire time. We raised about $2.2 million in 2019 in our annual fund. This whole year, while we're closed, we're going to hit close to 2.1 million. That's incredible that we've had that much commitment from our private donors. But you can't overcome a pandemic with private donorship. So, this is going to go very, very far to heal the deepest of the wounds that we've suffered this last year. And not just the Bushnell, but the other centers around the state will be, in time, I'm sure, receiving their share of this. So, I'm saying a thank you to you and to your other colleagues who, really worked hard on this. And I'm going to let the mayor step up here and say a few words.
All right, thanks so much, David. And in a second, I'm going to echo a bunch of the things that you just said about Senator Blumenthal. But first, I just want to say why this matters so much. The Bushnell Theater is an economic driver for our community. It brings thousands and thousands of people into our city. It creates so many jobs here at the theater, but so many jobs throughout the community, at restaurants, at small businesses. It is a hugely important source of economic activity. And so to have the continued support of all the donors who made it possible for the Bushnell to make it through, but now to have the federal government stepping up, providing $5.75 million to make sure that the Bushnell can not just survive, but grow, come back stronger, get ready for the reopening in October when we can all come back and see some live theater here in the Bushnell theaters again. It's such an important thing. And beyond the dollars that are coming to our theaters, our stages, this legislation, the Shuttered Venue Operator Grants or Save Our Stages Act, which Senator Blumenthal and our delegation fought so hard for, it also represents a recognition at the federal level that the arts matter, that the arts are central to our lives and to the lives of our communities. And that's a big deal in itself. As we as a country thought about how we recover from this pandemic, how we emerge and begin to rebuild, the arts were front and center because of the leadership of Senator Blumenthal and so many others to say, we cannot look at the arts as a nice to have. They are a must-have, and they are critical to our recovery. And so, Senator, for your leadership on this, from the very earliest stages of the pandemic, you were focused on making sure that our theaters, our performing venues could make it through and be ready to stay open and come back quickly out of the gate when it was possible to do it. And the fact that this support was included in the federal legislation that was passed is in large part a tribute to your tenacity. And as a city and as a state, we're incredibly grateful for that. I cannot wait to come back and go to the shows that are coming up. First one's what, October?
Well, the symphony opens on the 1st of October with their series, and then we bring Margaritaville on
There we go.
October 7th.
October. So I cannot wait to be here on October 1st for the symphony, and cannot wait to be here for Margaritaville on October 7th. It is going to be such an exciting thing to be back together, watching live performances, watching live theater in this beautiful historic venue. And that is possible because our federal government recognized the importance of the arts in our recovery, and because our senators and our delegation fought so hard to make that possible. So it's a thrill to be here. I hope that we'll soon be doing the same thing with our other venues in the city, because we are blessed in this city with a number of world-class theaters and performing venues, and their survival and their success is possible even after this incredibly disruptive pandemic because of this bill and because of the leadership of Senator Blumenthal and our federal delegation. So with that, Senator, over to you, and thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. The mayor has been such a incredible leader during this time of hardship and heartbreak on health, on economic recovery, on sustaining our cultural institutions. Thank you, Mayor Bronin, and thank you to everybody who makes the Bushnell possible. Thank you to the stagehands and the union that represents them. Thanks to the board, the incredible supporters, the financial contributors, to the actors who grace this stage. And I want to say a special thank you to David Fay and to his team. David was a tireless, and I mean relentless advocate. I had him testify before the Commerce Committee. He was fantastic in reaching out to my colleagues and persuading them that we needed this program. He was an advocate within the state. He represented the artistic community. And so thank you, David, for everything you did, not only on this stage, but on the national stage. Now, I've always, of course, like every politician, wanted to be on stage, except I wanted to be facing the other way. But I feel a little bit like opening night. This really is a reopening of theaters and cultural institutions across the state of Connecticut. And as you well know, and the mayor said it so well, theaters, entertainment venues, concert halls are part of an ecosystem. People who visit theaters buy a meal, they go shopping. So there's an economic impact. And of course, they bring people together. Families come together. People who sit out here are with people they never knew before, people of different ethnic and religious backgrounds, people of wildly different political views. The theater brings them together, and it always has. It is part of what makes Connecticut so great. From the time of the founding of our country, Connecticut has been known for its cultural institutions. It's more than just a frill or a luxury. It is who we are. And so I approached this issue with a passion that matched the need. And there was a need. $5.7 million. That's a lot of money, but every cent of it will be well spent. And there is more, because only 11 billion out of the potential 16 has been applied for so far. So there's more in this program for our museums, our theaters, as well as other venues in Connecticut. That is so tremendously important to our state and to the country. And of course, the restaurant revitalization program, the paycheck protection program, all of it aimed at small businesses. They are the job creators. We love our big corporations, but small businesses, the restaurants, the retailers, they are the job creators. And this program enables jobs here, jobs behind the stage, jobs throughout our community. And finally, let me just say that stages like the Bushnell inspire young people to dream about being here, to seek careers in the arts, to imagine themselves on stage. And those dreams are what life is made of. The most important experiences and memories in life often occur in these walls, where people come as children with their parents or with other children and dream big and then accomplish big things. They're inspired by what they see on the stage to think they might be able to do it, or that they can perform on other stages. So our cultural institutions are really part of our lifeblood, and this program and the billions of dollars is a lifeline to sustaining what is great about Connecticut and our country, which is that creative instinct, that sense of yearning and accomplishing dreams and making those dreams for the generations to come. So I want to thank the Bushnell. It's a historic institution, and I'm really happy to be part of a delegation, very much part of a team effort. This program was supported by everybody in our delegation, my colleague Chris Murphy, our congressman in this district, John Larson, and all of our delegation was firmly behind this program, and we will be doing more. We will be doing more because more is needed. Thank you all.
Thank you, Senator. Speaking of jobs, I've asked Mike Sullivan Jr., who is one of our longtime stagehands, but he also represents a group that took the hardest hit of anybody, and that's when we laid off or furloughed 90% of our staff within the first few weeks of this. They really have hung in there through very difficult times. And so, Mike, I want you to come on up, and it's great to see you back in the building and great to see the whole gang beginning to return. So say a few words.
Hello. So on behalf of Local 84 stagehands in Hartford, we represent 125 members and just as many extras that work through the theater here, this wonderful Bushnell. We really just want to say thank you so much. We did this before when we first asked for it, but now it came through. And we really want to thank you and David and the staff, all the people who have been for this whole time have been fighting and kicking and screaming. I just want to say, I want to thank you because I know when you went to Washington, there were a lot of people saying they wanted to help the working people. They don't want to help the working people. The Democrats and what you guys have done to push this. Because when you took David down, we didn't have control of things and could get things passed. But you never gave up. You kept pushing. You worked for us, the people who work backstage. We're here in the morning, we're here at night. And just from all of my members, we have guys who've been here forever. Tom Burns, I've been working here since the early 80s, on and off. I love this theater. This is the best theater in the state. I've been all around the country at Broadway tours. This is the best and most well-run facility. David, the work you've done, I've told our membership on regular and the staff who have really pushed to get all this through, that will benefit us and all the other working people that aren't looked out for, who aren't represented. And when we actually, someone said something, I said, no, he fought for us. Mr. Blumenthal fought for us and was there when we needed it again. And our local cannot thank you enough for all you have done to make it here. And David again, too, really, we appreciate this building and how wonderful it is. And thank you.
Thank you.
As it is said, it takes a village, and it does. And Mike and all of Local 84 and so many other folks are what makes this all happen. The senator will be the first to say, he doesn't do it all, I don't do it all. No single person in this room does it all, but the real village. And that's certainly something I have seen more in our country. As divisive as we can be, as crazy as we can be as Americans, through this pandemic, and the leadership that the federal government has taken has really been extraordinary. So let's take the lessons that we can from this and move it into a post-pandemic world. So next I want to ask Patty Jackson, who carried the burden of applying for this funding and working through all of those many nuances.
Thank you, David. Nice to see you all here today. So I'm the CFO here at the Bushnell, and as you can imagine, as being the CFO, I tend to look at things from a financial perspective, but following Mike Sullivan, I am humbly reminded of the human element that was behind all this as well. A lot of devastation to families, not just in our own Bushnell family, but of course families throughout the country in the performing arts sector really suffered a lot during this time. So I am, that's not lost on me that that's really behind all this. But $5.7 million, as a matter of fact, if you can just humor me for a minute, because I haven't committed the number to memory, and I will, it's $5,750,723.65. So that's going to go a long way to stabilizing our financial position as we emerge from the effects of this pandemic. It's going to enable us to put ourselves back together again. It will enable us to rehire our staff, our stagehands, our event folks, our box office people, all of the people who work behind the scenes to put the theater on the stage, as well as the people in the front. So the building it'll enable us to get the building squared up, ready to welcome our patrons back in the fall. As I think it was David who said, we've stumbled through, we've muddled through. Our patrons, our donors have been extremely generous and extremely patient with us, and they've gotten us through. But $5,750,723 is going to go a long way to healing a lot of wounds and getting us ready to open the doors on that joyful day in October when our patrons are welcomed back. We've been here for 90 years. This is going to help us be here for 90 plus more. So thank you for all the advocacy that you did for us. Thank you on this side as well. It has been a village, and I'm glad that part is over. So thank you all, and thank you.
And one thing, when I was testifying in front of the Commerce Committee, you went out of your way to make the observation about how important not only the Bushnell, but performing arts centers and arts organizations are in the educational community. And you're very well aware of our many educational programs. And because of that, I wanted to ask for the last speaker, if Yolande, who's been heading our education programs for like 30 years now, if she would say a few words with regard to the impact of this on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, everyone. And yes, I've been here heading it for about 30 years, and I'm only 42. It's an honor to be here with everyone today. I cannot tell you how excited I am at the thought of hearing cheering, applauding, laughter of children coming back in this building. And we are looking forward to that because we will be having our children's theater series that will be starting for us in February of 2022 with a show that the Bushnell actually produced. It's called Warriors Don't Cry. It's about the integration of Central High School in 1957 in Little Rock, Arkansas. So to bring children back, for them to hear about not only what was happening then, what's happening now, and to learn about equality and humanity and justice. So we're excited about that. We are also excited that we're going to be training art and music teachers back in the Great Hall again. We train them not only how to take curriculum and make it more interesting and creative using the arts. We're so excited to be training all the art and music teachers for CREC, and it'll be here in August. I want you to imagine for a moment that one of the things we do in education is teach children leadership skills. And it may not seem so evident to most people, but I want you to think about this. Imagine a child who's in the 3rd grade standing on this stage in a spotlight, and they are reading their poetry that they've been gone through with our teaching artists in the classrooms. And they're reading their poetry about what's important to them. It might be their puppy. It might be their baby brother and sister. It might be the lady in the cafeteria with the funny, crazy hat on. But they write that poetry from their heart. And then we have one of our master teaching artists. His name is Cello Man. He's a Grammy Award-winning professor at Berkeley. He then will take his cello and interpret each of their poems. Now imagine how many of you would not want to stand on this stage in a spotlight looking at over 2,000 people. So when they jump up out of their chairs and they run to the microphone, we know that we're teaching them leadership and that what they're learning is coming from their heart. I want to echo what everyone else has said as well. We are a jobs creator. Approximately half of our budget in education goes back out to our master teaching artists. We help them pay their rent, keep their lights on. We help them take their kids to the park, anything that they would like to do. And for us, that's extremely important. And we could not do that without this funding and this generosity. We have community partnerships that'll be coming back in the building. We work with Junior Achievement. We work with those high schools coming in to learn about what happens behind stage. We have 100 Men and Women of Color Awards that happens in this beautiful building. We have middle school and high school graduations that'll be coming back. And I'm going to stop and talk about one last program. We do very, very many, but one that's special to me is called our Family First Night program. This is a program where we will help underserved audiences come to see Broadway. They spend $5 for a $65 ticket. And through the money that is raised, we offset that cost and pay the remaining amount for that ticket because we want Broadway and the arts to be accessible to everyone. And so to have these families come in, that we work with the Conference of Churches, Manchester Conference of Churches, the First Cathedral, Hartford Public Library. These families come into to this beautiful building to see shows they would have never been able to afford. And for us, that's very important. So Senator Blumenthal, thank you so very, very much for your efforts, your tireless efforts to keep education and community alive and thriving in all the performing arts and all the PACs that are here in the state. And thank you, Mayor Bronin, so much for your commitment to the arts in this city. I am just thrilled that we're back open. Thank you.
Again, I want to thank you all for being here. We actually are going to open the theater for the very first time officially on September 11th with a commemorative event honoring the 20th, or recognizing the 20th anniversary of that terrible day on September 11, 2001, which reminds me that we need to take time out of our day to remember all those who we've lost to the pandemic. It's touched our family here at the Bushnell, and it, I know, has touched probably everyone in this room today. So it's been a horrible period of time, but as we are coming out of it now, there is much to celebrate. But let's never forget those who we did lose during this terrible time. So I just one more time say thank you very much. My buddy over here, thank you for all you're doing for this city. And thank you, all of you, for the commitment that you've made to this institution and to our great state. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you. Sure. Thanks. Sure, we'll do some questions. Sorry. Trying to duck out before the press asks questions, you know. Senator, do you want to field that one?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it, first of all, reminds me of all of the very diverse institutions we have in Connecticut. Some I'd never heard of before. We've announced, I think, so far 36. And when I say we, the Small Business Administration, which administers this program, has done a great job. Thanks for thanking me, but actually these are your dollars, taxpayer dollars. And it reminds us that government can do smart, strategic things. So the grantees are across the state, everything from Spinning Reels in Bantam, Heart and Soul in Bethel, Heartstone Productions in Bloomfield. I was at the Downtown Cabaret in Bridgeport. I've been to Toad's Place in New Haven. There are a couple in Niantic and Groton, all across the state of Connecticut. Theaters and venues are surviving because of this lifeline. And there are tens of them. We don't have an exact count yet because not all the grants have been provided. We'll be announcing more. Anybody who needs this money, if you are a producer, if you're a theater, if you're a concert hall, apply. There's money. And it is designed to keep alive and enable thriving our great cultural institutions, no matter what their size. They can be a hole in the wall and still be great places for music or theater or entertainment. And so I would just urge everyone who has an interest and who thinks they may be eligible. This is a very broadly eligible program. I was at the Music Theater of Connecticut yesterday, which is about the size of that anteroom and has maybe 50 seats, but is a source of joy and wonder and education. We underestimate the educational value of these institutions. Just giving a kid a stage can be a platform to the future. So, I encourage people to apply. It has been a really tough time, but the SBA is ready to provide these kinds of grants in very diverse and varying amounts. 5.7 million is a lot compared to 15,000, which is going to the Woodbury Main Street Ballet Company. There are just all kinds of very diverse recipients.
How many do you think grantees you say? 36. 36.
Well, there are 36. So far, 36 grants. That is a rolling number. Mm-hmm. And in fact, for all I know, more are being announced today. The SBA is the one who makes the decision, but it's around 36. I spoke to Catherine Marks yesterday, and she said there are more in the works. So for all I know, more have been announced today, but it's in that range between 30 and 40 so far, and there will be more.
There were three priority periods for applying. The first priority were people who, institutional organizations that lost 90% of their earned revenue. The second priority is those who lost 70 to 90%, and the third between 45 and 70%. We are in the second category, priority 2. The largest number of applicants are in priority 3. And we're actually very early in the priority 2 period. So there'll be a number more priority 2s, and in a couple of weeks, the priority 3s will be announced, and there'll be a flood of those, here in Connecticut. And as the senator so rightly pointed out, what 15,000 to that dance company meant is very similar to what 5.7 million means to the Bushnell. So on a scale, it's very, very helpful.
And I'll just say it again for the third time. $16 billion is available There have been 14,000 applications, but for only 11 billion. So there's a lot of money still to be distributed, as contrasted with the restaurant revitalization program, which unfortunately has run out of money, and we are working very hard to replenish it with another round of funding for the restaurants in Connecticut, which have struggled as well, as you know.
Any other questions? If not, have a great day. Thank you all. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.